Good evening, everyone. Welcome into Vol Society Live on this Wednesday night, the 1st of November, 2023. My name is David Morrison from the Vol Society, here to bring you another episode of Vol Society Live. This is your show. This is your chance to be heard all across the World Wide Web, if you will, as we talk about Tennessee football or Tennessee athletics in general. Like I said, the chat room is open, whether you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Leave your comments and your questions. I will read them off. And like I said, we'll talk about Tennessee football. Hopefully, the next 30 minutes to an hour. You're in charge of the show. Like I said, this is your chance to be heard once and for all. And just what's on your mind. We'll talk. If you want to talk about the Kentucky game last week, talk about the upcoming homecoming this weekend game with UConn. You can go right ahead. Like I said, I'll just kind of be throwing, I guess, my 2 cents into the mix. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get started on tonight's show. Like I said, normally we do this show on Tuesday nights, but we're here on a Wednesday night due to Halloween, and I'm sure everybody was doing all the trick or treating and all that fun stuff. Anyway, so like I said, we'll go back starting last Saturday. Tennessee picked up the win over Kentucky, 33-27. My first thoughts on the game was just Joe Milton. Joe Milton, in my opinion, played his best game of the season. He was 17 for 20, 227 yards, and one touchdown. Hello, Phil, watching us tonight. Uh, I thought Joe did very well. I thought the running backs looked fantastic throughout the game. Jalen Wright, 11 carries, 120 yards. Of course, he started the night off with a 52-yard touchdown run to kind of set the tone for the most part. Dylan Sampson carried the basically the offense the entire second half. 17 carries, 75 yards, and a touchdown. We put him as our Vol Society player of the game. Uh, and even Joe Milton, he was 10 carries for 26 yards, but I mean, for the most part, I thought Joe played very well throughout the whole game. Dante Thornton, we'll give a shout out to Dante Thornton. 3 catches, 63 yards, finally showed up in this offense. So, I mean, it's late in the season, but I'm actually happy for Dante to make some plays finally. And we kind of saw a little bit of that explosiveness. So, we'll see, can Joe Milton still feel comfortable going the rest of the season? Squirrel White, 4 catches, 48 yards, but hey, he's still right now becoming the number one wide receiver on this team. Of course, Chaz Nimrod won that one catch for 39 yards, which resulted in the touchdown. Like I said, just a fantastic showing for Chaz, and also, breaking free. And Joe hooked him up, and it wasn't overthrown, and we got an explosive play for a touchdown. Phil says we own Kentucky, baby. Yeah, we are doing it right now. Like I said, you could be like Phil right now. Leave your comments and your questions. Like I said, this is your show. But just like I said, overall, I'll say I was pleasantly pleased for offensively of the game. The biggest concern to me was the secondary, and that's been a recurring theme now going on 3 years. The secondary was pretty poor. And like I said, not having Kamal Haddon out for the year, got a lot of guys you're just trying to throw in there, and kind of the same recurring defensive backs coming back into play. And we all know who they are. And just kind of got exposed. I mean, I'll give kudos to Devin Leary. Devin Leary had a great game himself, 28 for 39, 372 yards, 2 touchdowns. But I mean, it's just kind of frustrating to see our secondary getting burned on plays. Uh, Defense did a great job containing Ray Davis, 16 carries for 42 yards to get a touchdown out of it, but we held him to 2.6 yards per carry. So defensive line was solid. The linebackers pretty good, but like I said, that secondary, man, really, really poor showing. Dane Key for Kentucky, he had 7 catches for 113 yards and a touchdown. Um, just kind of a poor showing on the secondary for the most part. Phil says Dylan is the breakout man. Yeah, I mean Dylan Thompson, or Dylan Thompson, Dylan Sampson. Sorry, I had I don't know what I was thinking there. Dylan Sampson. I mean, just he has just really proven himself since that Florida game. I mean, obviously he didn't play in the Florida game, but ever since not showing or not getting any playing time in the Florida game, and coming out that next week against UTSA, and just saying, "Hey, you should have gave me the rock," and he just continues to churn big time numbers. And like I said, you got three really solid running backs in the backfield. I mean, Jalen Wright's solid. Dylan Sampson to me is the best of the three. Jabari Small does what he does. It's not awful, not great, uh, but pretty solid. Like I said, he's a senior, and like I said, we're very loaded right now in the running back room. Hello to my grandparents watching along tonight. But yeah, I'm loving this running back core, and I think it's really gonna. I mean, it's been carrying us throughout the season. I mean, even through Milton's struggles, I mean, could you imagine even if this running back core wasn't up to par with the passing game? I mean, you would be looking at you know right now Tennessee is 6-2. You could be looking at a 4-4 season easily. I mean, it's crazy to think, but the combination of our running backs and then the defensive line, really the defense in general, up until kind of the secondary last week, has just been kind of carrying this team throughout the season. Um, but that's kind of like my overall thoughts of the game Saturday. Like I said, happy for the offense, happy for Milton. Uh, Playing his best game so far this season, especially on the road. Um, Whether or not you want to call Kentucky a hostile environment, I thought Tennessee looked very comfortable out there. Yeah, it was a close game, but we kind of expect that to be a close game, kind of an ugly game. But like I said, Tennessee held their own throughout four quarters. Um, I picked up a nice solid win, but 33-27, the final score on Saturday. Now we move on to homecoming. The UConn Huskies come into town this Saturday for a new kickoff. Not expecting much from this game. This is just a tune-up game for the final three games of the season. Brad in the chat room saying, "Let's go Vols." Um, yeah, like I said, this is just a tune-up game for the most part. UConn 1-7 on the year. And it's Jim Moore Jr., the head coach, and last year UConn surprised a lot of people, got to a bowl game, and I'm thinking, okay, well UConn, they're an independent school, uh, you know, maybe they can kind of turn this program around and be kind of a solid 6-16, but boy, they have really dropped off big time. Phil says, David, you and Brad going to the game on Saturday. I am not going to the game on Saturday, unfortunately. This is a game I didn't have planned this weekend. I'm not sure about Brad, but you know we'll see. I'm maybe pushing for the Vanderbilt game coming up. Georgia, it's just going to be a lot of people there, and if by in case we do have a win, if it does happen, we're gonna go live that night, yeah, for the Georgia game if we do pull out that win. Brad says he's not going, and then he said Austin P was a tune-up game too, and look how that one turned out. You're all right. But looking at UConn, well, they're 1-7 on the year. Their only win was against Rice on October the 7th. Uh, Stats wise, their quarterback, uh, Taquan Robinson's 1,200 yards on passing throughout the year with 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Got a QBR of 30.8, which is 125th in the nation. And there's 130 schools. So not a good team at all. Their leading rushers got 400 yards, leading receivers 300 yards. So, like I said, hopefully this can be a nice tune-up game. And like Brad said, we thought Austin Peay was going to be a tune-up game, and uh, it was kind of a frustrating game. I don't expect this to be the level we saw with Austin Peay. I think what I'm hoping for is what I'm hoping for is just go in there, put up some big numbers, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you my score prediction. I hope you go ahead and do that in the chat room for the reviewers watching. I'm thinking Tennessee's going to win at 52-7 over UConn. I think Milton will still be solid. I think our running backs are still going to be fine. Just a lot of fine tuning before we play on Saturday, or before we play Missouri next Saturday, and Georgia the next week. Let's see. Brad says Vols beating Georgia this year. It may happen. I'm kind of coming around a little bit on it, but we'll see. We still got a couple of weeks. I got to see what happens with Missouri. And then Brad says, I'm hoping for Nico Saturday. Yes, this is really your final opportunity to get Nico some reps going into the next season. I mean, we've let's be honest, we've done a poor job not putting him in good situations. He played a little bit against Virginia, didn't play against Austin P because we had that weird game where we were semi close with him, and then UTSA we put him in way too late. Should have started him the second half, but maybe they finally learn and we'll put Nico in. Phil says, well, the boys basketball looks good against Michigan State and even beat them by 1 point. I am getting off track a little bit. That's okay. Yeah, shout out to the Tennessee men's basketball team. Went to Michigan State, played a charity exhibition game, won 89-88 at East Lansing. The Breslin Center, one of the tough places to play in college basketball, and they had a great turnout there. So nice tune-up game, getting ready for the season, and then they end up finishing their exhibition portion of their schedule, which there's only 2 games. They beat Lenore Ryan yesterday, and then they get ready for Tennessee Tech on Monday. And then Brad says men's basketball might be the best team Barnes has had. They might be a Final Four team. They might. My biggest concern and if you hadn't watched my Tennessee basketball previews for both the men's and the women's, there are 2 separate videos. They're on the Facebook page or the YouTube page. Just look under the live videos on the YouTube page. Kind of break it down in categories. But watching that Michigan State game, I was very surprised and very pleased seeing Tennessee putting up quick shots. Last year we saw Tennessee, you know, play that aggressive defense, guard you hard, and then once they get on the offensive side, they just kind of pass it around and looking for an open shot. Well, they were putting up some quick shots, and I was very happy they were in there with Michigan State and done the same thing with Lenore Ryan. Just quick shots, and they were nailing them. So a lot of optimism for Rick Barnes' team going down the stretch. Got a pretty tough schedule. Especially in November. Not only, I mean, you play Tennessee Tech on Monday. I'm not expecting much from that. But then that Friday night, you go to Wisconsin and playing a pretty solid Wisconsin team. And then you got the Maui tournament with Purdue, Marquette, Gonzaga, UCLA. I mean, some top 10 programs right there. And Tennessee wants to be in that Final Four discussion early on. There's a good testing ground right there. And Brad says it's going to be a fun basketball season on here, folks. Yeah, definitely. We're getting the hoops coming in. Lady Vols, they won their exhibition game against Carson Newman, and then coming up on Sunday night, and this will be televised on the SEC network. The Lady Vols will be playing Team USA, the women's U.S. women's basketball team that's going to compete in the Olympics next summer in Paris. So you got a lot of all-stars and some of the best women's players on the team are in the United States going to be competing against the Lady Vols. So be an interesting scenario. Phil says Dalton Connect and Justin are good. Yeah, Dalton Connect. What a pickup for Tennessee. Came out of Northern Colorado, all Big Sky selection. I think he's going to be a playmaker and a big part of the offense. So, yeah. Brad says, tell us about the tribute to Pat this Saturday, David. Okay, so obviously this weekend we're playing UConn, and one of the big basketball rivalries, especially on the women's side, was Tennessee and UConn. Pat Summitt and Gino Auriemma. We know see there. So, uh, kind of tying in with that theme, for the second year in a row, Tennessee is going to be wearing Summit Blue accessories. So Tennessee will probably be wearing the all orange, and then they're going to have the Summit Blue, which is like a Columbia blue, like arm sleeves, wristbands, socks, headbands. So that's going to be on the uniforms. Plus, there's going to be a special commemorative stadium cup, which I have a few stadium cups. I'm probably going to goof this up. You kind of see right back there the stadium cups. They're going to have a special stadium cups coming up this Saturday with Pat Summitt. They look really nice. So this is just a tribute to Pat Summitt. This is the second year in a row we've done that. Last year during homecoming when Tennessee played UT Martin, which was Pat Summitt's alma mater, they did the Summit accessories, and now they've taken it kind of one step further with the commemorative cup. So really cool. Really cool right there that they're doing, honoring Coach Summit. Brad was talking about Dalton Connect. That dude is amazing. Toby with a yo, and he says, I will be at the game Saturday. Awesome. Hope you have a good time, Toby. Sold out crowd coming up on Saturday. Brad's wondering what channel is the game on Saturday. So Tennessee and UConn, 12 o'clock kickoff on the SEC network. It'll be Dave Neal, Derek Mason, and Alex Chappell on the call Saturday on the SEC network, old school SEC network. Phil says Tennessee 42, UConn 20. Toby coming in with a 56-6 Tennessee victory. I'm almost close with you, Toby. I said 52-7. So we're kind of right there, Toby. Awesome. Brad's saying 48-10 Vols. Yeah, I'm not expecting much from this game. Like I said, let's put these guys away early. Have a nice homecoming weekend. Yeah, let's just get ready for Missouri and then Georgia, and then Vanderbilt to kind of wrap up the season. Tennessee in the first college football rankings that came out last night at number 17. Obviously, I'm not expecting Tennessee to be in the Final Four, obviously, but it's still nice to kind of see Tennessee still in the top 25 and kind of pretty high up on the list, and could play a spoiler here in a couple of weeks. Toby says it's my first game since 2018. That's awesome. 2018. That was a previous coach's first year, but hey, that's all good. I was going to say, Toby, you're real. You haven't been since the renovations of the stadium. It looks really nice, with especially with the two jumbotrons in the end zone. It's a lot nicer. They're doing some great renovations. You went to the 2018 Tennessee Alabama game. Okay. Like I said, this will be your first game since the renovations. It looks really nice. The Wi-Fi in there is great, so you can check up on other college football scores in there and text, and kind of can call. I guess sometimes you get a drop call every once in a while, but it's really nice in there. Yeah, Toby saying the Tennessee Alabama game in 2018, we got beat 58-21. Yeah. I kind of remember. I think I may have been at that game. If I'm trying to, let's see, was that the one? No, it was 2016. I take that back. I apologize. I went to. Well, no, I take it. No, I was there. That was the game I was in, like the way in the upper deck. Okay, I was at that game because I believe that was that Tua and Jalen Hurts. Tua started the game and Jalen Hurts came in there. Think. Uh, I think that's the same game if I remember correctly. I mean, those are the blowout games are not fun to remember. Phil says, "Well, I'm going to step out a little bit. I think we can beat Missouri. I think we can too. It's gonna be a challenging road game. I mean, and especially this will probably be their biggest home game coming up to this point. But I think Tennessee can do it. It seems like we now finally figured out Missouri. It took us a little while when they first joined the SEC, but our program was way down, and Missouri had that couple of years where they were um, really tough. But I think we'll be okay. But it's going to be a tough game. Brad says Missouri's going to be very tough. Toby says Michigan will beat Ohio State. That's a big game coming up. It could happen. I will say that. We'll see kind of how what this Jim Harbaugh distraction is doing. Uh, if they still in the thick of things. Ohio State, the number one team in the college football playoff poll. I'm trying to figure out if that game is in Michigan or is it in Columbia. Let me look it up here. That game is in Michigan. Okay, so so Michigan will have the home field advantage. Mitch and Brad said that Mizzou is going to be very tough. Shout out to Toby with the Facebook love heart thing. Awesome. Any other questions or comments? Brad says Michigan wins when they play each other. Always an interesting game. Phil says, Brad, help me out. I'm trying to be positive. Okay. Shout out to my dad, also leaving the like on the Facebook page. Like I said, I guess we'll go ahead and kind of talk about. We'll go ahead and talk about Missouri. Where they're at right now. Missouri's got a huge game coming up on Saturday as they take on Georgia. That game is in Athens. 3:30 kickoff on CBS. Georgia is a 15.5-point favorite. Mizzou is 7-1 on the year, but they're only lost to LSU. And then the next week, Missouri will take on us. Obviously, we still don't know a kickoff time with Tennessee, Missouri. Normally, we find that out on Mondays, but they flexed our game to either CBS, ESPN, or SEC Network. There's like three games that's in that flex era. Brad says that would be a good game to watch, Georgia and Mizzou. Give us an idea. Okay. And then I'll go ahead. I still got to do Tailgate Thursday, by the way, so we get done. But the rest of the SEC schedule, you got Texas A&M playing Ole Miss at noon. Same time Tennessee's playing UConn. You got Arkansas taking on Florida down the swamp. Ole Miss is a 3-point favorite against Texas A&M. Florida is a 6-point favorite against Arkansas. I think Florida should take that one. Jacksonville State taking on South Carolina at noon. Jacksonville State is 7-2 on the year, and South Carolina is 2-6. Even though South Carolina is a 16-point favorite, don't be surprised if that game is close. Rich Rodriguez, the head coach of Jacksonville State, he knows how to coach a little bit. I know he's a little off the wall from time to time, but don't be surprised if that game is close. Mitchell, Missouri, and Georgia, 3:30 on CBS. By the way, there'll be a triple header on CBS that day with 2 SEC games and 1 Big Ten game. Auburn taking on Vanderbilt at 4 on the SEC Network. Auburn a 12-point favorite. Kentucky and Mississippi State in the nightcap, 7:30 on the SEC Network. Kentucky a 3-point favorite or 3.5-point favorite. And then the big game that night, LSU and Alabama, 7:45 kickoff on CBS. Alabama is a 3-point favorite in that game. Huge game in the SEC West between LSU and Alabama. Be really interesting to see Jaden Daniels, how he does on the road against Alabama. Jaden Daniels getting some Heisman hype, if you will. And I think he needs to get that win if he wants to be a serious contender. We're kind of hearing some buzz with him and J.J. McCartney and Michael Penix from Washington and several others. So it's going to be a big game. You got a really nice, double header of games on CBS with Missouri and Georgia, a huge game in the SEC East, and then a huge game in the SEC West with LSU and Alabama. I know Tennessee kind of still somewhat in the thick of things in the SEC East, but I guess you'd be even though we love to see Missouri pull the win. I guess we had to root for Missouri or root for Georgia. I mean, it's either one. I think Georgia will win it, but man, can you imagine if I don't know if I would be nervous if Missouri beats Georgia. Maybe they'll have the hangover from it, and then we can go in there and win. Who knows? But that's kind of a look at that. Um, but let's look at the SEC schedule, and then got some decent top 25 games coming up on Saturday. Kansas State and Texas on Fox. Texas a 4-point favorite. You got for the final time Bedlam between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in Stillwater. Oklahoma a 5-point favorite against Oklahoma State. Um, LSU. We mentioned LSU, Alabama, Washington, and USC at the Coliseum Saturday night. Man, can Washington stay undefeated? We shall see. Go back to your shout outs here. Shout out to Gregory. Shout out to Jared and Jared Wright, leaving us a like on the Facebook page. Dwayne checking in with us tonight says LSU will beat Alabama. So he thinks LSU will go to Tuscaloosa and get the win. This thing would go away. There we go. Who cares? Trying to fix this thing here really quick. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to that LSU Alabama game. Since Dwayne brought it up, Alabama right now is a where did it go? 3-point favorite. There it is. 3-point favorite in that game. Jaden Daniels on the season. Pulling up his stats, multitasking here. Yeah, Jaden Daniels over 2,500 yards passing so far this year with 25 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I mean, having a solid season. It just makes you wonder about that. That Ole Miss game and even the Florida State game, even though Florida State's still undefeated. Gregory says, "Evening, David and Chad. Good evening to you. Hope you're having a wonderful evening." Like I said, this is part of your show. Whatever you want to talk about, I'm just kind of directing traffic here. But we got a lot of great college football. I mean, it's kind of sad we're already now into November. I mean, 4 weeks away we'll be already playing conference championship games and going into the bowl season. I mean, college football. It's one of those. It's one of those you wait. Feels like it takes forever to get here, and then when it's finally here, it's just a whirlwind, like I don't know, like a roller coaster, and you're done. It just felt like we were just doing the preseason specials, and now here we are in the final month. It's just crazy. I mean, and like I said, basketball starts on Monday. But yeah, takes forever to get here, but man, it's quick when it gets here. But we got a lot of great games still to come. Still some teams in contention for the playoffs. Obviously, Tennessee may not sniff the top 4, but like I said, we can play some spoiler along the way if we could. Like I said, you got big. I mean, obviously, this game is the final tune-up game, but then the next 2 at Missouri, and then you get Georgia at home. Going to be a big game. Right now, there's no line for Tennessee and Georgia on November the 18th. I'm still kind of surprised Georgia's. Well, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm not surprised Georgia being number 2 in the original poll. I'm a little surprised Ohio State got 1. Also a little surprised Washington didn't crack the top 4. But still got a lot of games to go. So can't get upset at the original polls. Jared saying they remember what you do in November. Big month for the Vols ahead. Absolutely. Huge month. Like I said, with this game, we'll get that out of the way, and then Missouri and then Georgia. Like I said, right now Georgia, according to ESPN, is a 66% favorite to win on the road. But anything can happen. I mean, I'm actually kind of surprised. Well, Jalen Wright's got more rushing yards than Edwards for Georgia. And then we'll see. Obviously, Brock Bowers, I don't expect him to play, but you never know. Gregory says Washington looks strong. Yes, we're loving Washington here on Vol Society. They were Deez and I. We mentioned this. They remind us of Tennessee from last year. You know, you got Michael Penix Jr., their quarterback. They got a good wide receiver that kind of reminds me of Jalen Hyatt. They're playing in a very competitive Pac-12 conference that unfortunately will be no more after this season. You know, and like I said, Caleb DeBoer is, in my opinion, the coach of the year right now, just doing an excellent job. They got a huge game coming up on the road against USC, but you know, I'm not expecting Caleb Williams to set the world on fire. Obviously, he knows he's not going to win the Heisman Trophy, and who knows what his mindset is going in for the rest of the season. Obviously, there was discussion of him maybe, or people suggested he should pull out and focus on the draft, but you know, thankfully he didn't do that. Gregory says, I also like Oregon. They look good Saturday. Yeah, Oregon had a nice game against Utah. That really surprised me. I thought Utah was going to win at home against Oregon, but, you know, Bo Nix, telling you, huge game for him. I mean, the Pac-12 is just so loaded with great quarterbacks. Penix at Washington, DJ at Oregon State, Bo Nix at Oregon. You got Caleb Williams at USC. You got Shador Sanders at Colorado. Uh, you know, Blake Barnett at Utah, who's filling in for the injured Cameron Rising, who's not going to play any this year. I mean, some great quarterback play all up and down the Pac-12. Uh, Even Jaden Rashada at Arizona State's not too bad either, even though that team is not too hot, but he's, you know, making something out of nothing. Um, really good. Like I said, some good games coming up. Like I said, big month also for Tennessee coming up too. Like I said, taking on UConn. I think Tennessee's going to win this one 52-7, and then we move on to bigger and better games. Um, excited about I'm excited about what's going to happen in November, kind of coming out of the Kentucky game. Even though our secondary was very poor throughout the whole game, kind of recapping for those who joined in late. You know, I thought Joe Milton played his best game of the season against Kentucky. I was happy for Deontay Thornton finally stepping up, having a great game. I loved our running backs, both Wright in the first half and Dylan Sampson in the second half. But man, that secondary's got to really improve coming up this month. Gregory says, will we see Nico Saturday? I am hoping we will see Nico on Saturday. Um, you know, I love Milton to death. I think, like I said, I just praised him just a minute ago. I think what Tennessee needs to do is just get a huge lead on UConn and then let Nico ride the second half. I just don't think UConn is. I think UConn's going to play probably their best ball to a certain extent, but you know, like I said, if they're down big at the half, they'll probably won't do anything, and then go ahead and get Nico some reps. This is your last chance for Nico to get anything before 2024 because you know, you don't know what's going to happen with the transfer portal. Milton's going to be gone. Um, you know, whether or not he gets drafted to the NFL or not is we shall see. By the way, the Arena Football League coming back in 2024. They announced the Nashville Cats are returning, so excited for that. I love the Nashville Cats back in the day. I still have one of their rally towels off camera on my Titans mural wall. But anyways, imagine Joe Milton in the Arena League. Anyways, I'm getting off track. Sorry, Nico. We got to focus on Nico. Nico. This is you got to get him some reps. Gregory says could see him play for Vandy too. Yeah, that's true. That is true. I forgot about Vandy. Yeah, you got to get him some reps, and like I said, because by next year, you're going to have Nico, you're going to have Gaston Moore, you're going to have Jake Merklinger coming in. So it's going to be a very young, inexperienced quarterback room for the most part. Jared says Joe's arm is too strong for the Arena League. He probably throw a football busted out the arena. uh, Phil says, well, they need to prime Nico some now. Yeah, you're right, Phil. We got to get Nico some reps. Like I say, because you've got 1 month left, and yeah, like I said, I agree with Gregory. I didn't even think about Vanderbilt. I mean, I should have. But yeah, you've got one, maybe two more opportunities for Nico. I'm just thinking of kind of that non-conference cupcake games because we blew it with Austin P and basically blew it for UTSA. I mean, Virginia, he came in and played a little bit. Um, but then yeah, like I said, we just missed some golden opportunities. But I love to see Nico in there. I like to see. I mean, we've kind of ran through our wide receivers, unfortunately, due to Brew's injury. So you've kind of seen everybody. But hey, why not have if Nico comes in, just have we'll pull out Squirrel and pull out Thornton needs to get the reps in, but Squirrel and Keaton out, and then put in like Caleb Webb, Chaz Nimrod, and maybe Thornton, and just kind of let them kind of run a simple playbook with all three of those guys. So I'm sure Nico practices with them at least, definitely during the summer camp, and I say even in practice too, because there's not too many people behind. I mean, you got receivers, but nobody that would see playing time. But we shall see. I think you'll see a really good shot with Nico coming up on Saturday. Um, any other questions or comments as far as Saturday goes, or recapping last week, or even upcoming games? If let's see, we will lose. Ryan win, go didn't win. Sorry, I'm trying to read your question there, Phil. I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure it out. Um. Anyways, but yeah, we got, like I said, we got some big games coming up. Obviously throughout the whole month, and like I said, just kind of puts in good position. Bowl projections. As far as what I've read, I'm hearing everything from the Music City Bowl to the Gator Bowl as of right now. It seems like Citrus Bowl is kind of leaning more towards Ole Miss. They want to get them down there, but anything can happen. So it looks like definitely going to be either a Florida Bowl or going back to Nashville. I feel like you know, I mean, we don't know what the rest of the season is going to hold. I just feel like right now the Music City Bowl is kind of like even a tier below us at this point. I think probably one of the Florida Bowls, even Outback Bowl or Raleigh Quest Bowl, whatever it's now called. I still call it the Outback Bowl down in Tampa. I think it's one of them. One of the Florida Bowls, I believe, will probably end up at by season's end. We shall see. Like I said, we got a lot of content coming up this week. Obviously, Tennessee basketball will get underway Monday. Like I said, we're going to bring you a lot of Tennessee basketball coverage next week with Tennessee Tech. Definitely go back and check out the preseason video. I may reshare it back out on the Facebook page and the Lady Vols. We'll see. I mean, they kind of tip around the same time. But Tennessee basketball opens the season Monday night against Tennessee Tech, and then they go to Wisconsin on Friday. Okay, there we go. Thank you, Phil. We lost Ryan Wingo, one of the recruits. Yes, Ryan Wingo, one of the 5-star wide receivers Tennessee was trying to get, or one of the, the big four, if you will. Braylon Staley, Mike Matthews, Amari Jefferson, and then Ryan Wingo was the big one. Ryan Wingo committed to Texas. Looked like Missouri was a big lean for him for a few days, and then I guess he went to Austin and took a late visit and ended up going to Texas. So Tennessee did pick up two of the four targets, if you will, and Braylon Staley, who was a big Clemson lean, got him, and then Mike Matthews, a 5-star wide receiver from Georgia, I believe. And then, but like I said, yeah, we lost Wingo, and we were kind of hearing once he was like really leaning towards Missouri, it seemed like Tennessee was kind of in the rearview mirror, unfortunately. Dwayne's saying Sugar Bowl or Orange Bowl if we win out. It could happen. That is true. If you, like I said, if you finish the season 10-2, yeah, you're definitely in that. Actually, I think the Sugar Bowl, Dwayne. Now that I remember, I believe it's one of the playoff hosts because I think this year's Rose Bowl and Sugar Bowl. So probably be Orange or Fiesta Bowl or not. Yeah, maybe Fiesta Bowl or Peach Bowl. Probably Peach Bowl since it's a little more closer. So I just remember that. But normally, uh, Sugar Bowl is one of the SEC ties. But I believe this year is a playoff semifinal host this year. But could head back to the Orange Bowl. You could go to one of the other New Year's Six bowls. Like I said, if you win out, I think everything I'm reading is just like they're kind of projecting us to lose to Georgia. Some of the bowl projection people. And that's why I'm reading more in the lines of Music City Bowl worst to Citrus Bowl best. But like I said, even if we went out, I think you would definitely see us get back into the New Year's Six bowl games. And I think it'd be, and like I said, even though I hate the player opt outs, I understand why they do it. It'd be interesting to see who will opt out for this year. Last year, we lost. And Jalen Hyatt opted out. Obviously, Hendon didn't play. Cedric Tillman didn't play, which we took care of Clemson in our bowl game. Maybe a little more challenging this year if we do have those. Jared said Orange Bowl was a lot of fun last year. Hoping for a bowl in the state of Florida. That would be nice. Oh, Carlos! Carlos! Vamos, Vols! Vamos, Vols to you. Awesome joining us on Vol Society Live tonight. Hope you're doing well. Got some big games coming up, my friend. And like I said, Jared was at the Orange Bowl last year. Yeah. Seems like we always love these Floridian bowl games, which we do pretty well at. Any other comments or questions tonight? Like I said, appreciate everybody kind of tuning in a day after we normally air. We always go on Tuesday nights, but I figure everybody's trick or treating, enjoying Halloween, and hope you had a nice and safe Halloween. Hope you had more treats than tricks. So definitely a lot of people, like I said, appreciate everybody kind of getting this one day notice. But we'll be back next Tuesday night. Phil says, good night, Vol Society. Have a great rest of the night. Thank you, Phil. Thank you for being a part of the show, my friend. Like I said, we got a lot of basketball coming up next week. Tennessee and UConn coming up on Saturday. We'll be back on our regularly scheduled Tuesday night show as we will preview Missouri. Didn't do a podcast this week. There was some sickness going on in the Brad Frank house this week, so couldn't get a recording. Dee's had some other commitments, so apologize if we didn't get a podcast out this week. It's just with sickness and I guess and other prior commitments. Unfortunately, we couldn't record this week. Hopefully, get everybody squared away and healthy next week. And like I said, everything should be up and running next week. Obviously, we'll have Josh Heupel's press conference each and every Monday around lunchtime. We'll share that video out for y'all so you can hear what Coach Hype says about the upcoming games. And this is some busy time coming up with football, college basketball getting into full gear. Make sure you're subscribed to our social media pages, being notified of anything. We will do, like I said, we will preview. Well, not do a preview, but we'll remind you of when Tennessee plays basketball wise, both men's and women's, the day of the game, that morning of the game, and hopefully you'll see the post, and we'll tell you TV information and stuff, and then obviously I'll try to post the final score as soon as they go final, and like I said, a lot of good stuff coming up. But I appreciate each and every one of y'all. We're going to kind of wind it down. Tennessee and UConn, once again, Saturday, homecoming, noon kickoff on the SEC Network. Dave, Neal, Derek Mason, Alex Chappelle on the call. Like I said, let's go ahead and take care of UConn, and then let's dive into the rest of the SEC schedule, if you will. But we'll go ahead and wind it up. Thank you for tuning in, and have a great night. Once again, thank you to everybody joining us on Vol Society Live. Please take care of each other. Be kind to each other, especially in these times of the year with the holidays and stuff. Let's spread a little more cheer in 2023 on a good note and a positive way. Have a great night, everybody.